And so I want to invite you into the process. We're going to watch the slideshow one more time, but before we do that, I want to just do a couple of things real quick. Bathrooms are men's bathrooms over there, women's bathrooms over there. If you're staying with us to celebrate afterwards, we'll be over here in this building. You'll just go out that back door, take a right, and then you'll see this long building over here, and that's where all the other stuff's going to happen. I want to invite you into the process this morning. I'm going to assume that most of you know John on some level or another. And all of us have seen those crazy little paint by number things, right? So all of you have at least one number that you could paint into John's picture if you wanted to share a story or a joke or a memory. And so I just invite you guys, when you're eating, when you're hanging out, to share the crazy fun stories that you have about John. We want to take time to remember John this morning. We want to take time to paint that picture of who he is. It won't capture everything, but it will capture enough that we can all walk away going, man, that was good to remember John today. And so we're going to run through the slideshow in its entirety, and then we have some people that are going to share this morning, and then I'll close, and we'll dismiss the family, and then we'll head over there for food. So if you would start the slideshow, please.
I get so lost sometimes. Days pass and this emptiness fills my heart. When I want to run away, I drive off in my car. But whichever I come back to the place you are. All my instincts, they return. The grand facade so soon will burn. Without a noise, without my pride, I reach out from the inside. In your eyes, the light, the heat, I am complete. See the doorway, the thousand churches, the resolution of all the fruitless searches. Oh, I see the light and the heat. Oh, I wanna be that complete. I wanna touch the light, the heat I see in your eyes. Love, I don't like to see so much pain, so much wasted, and this moment keeps slipping away. I get so tired, working so hard for our survival. I look to the time with you to keep me awake and alive. And all my instincts, they return. And the grand facade so soon will burn. Without a noise, without my pride, I reach out from the inside. In your eyes,
were born before the wind, also younger than the sun. Yeah, the bonnie boat was one as we sail into the mystic. Oh, I can now hear the sailors cry, smell the sea and feel the sky. Let your soul and spirit fly into the mystic. And where that foghorn blows, I will be coming home. Yeah, when the foghorn blows, I wanna hear it. I don't have to fear it, and I wanna rock your gypsy soul, just like way back in the days of old. And magnificently we will fold into the mystic. When that foghorn blows, you know I will be coming home. Yeah, when that foghorn whistle blows, I gotta hear it. I don't have to fear it, and I wanna rock your gypsy soul, just like way back in the days of old. And together we will fold into the mystic. Come on, girl.
That Arizona sky burning in your eyes. You look at me, and babe, I wanna catch on fire. It's buried in my soul like California gold. You found the light in me that I couldn't find. So when I'm all choked up but I can't find the words, every time we say goodbye, baby, it hurts. When the sun goes down and the band won't play, I'll always remember us this way. Lovers in the night, poets trying to write. We don't know how to rhyme, but damn, we try. But all I really know, you're where I wanna go. The part of me that you will never die. So when I'm all choked up and I can't find the words, every time we say the whole world fades, I'll always remember us this way.
Good morning. I'm a crier, so get ready for that.
Well, we'll get you fixed up.
Okay, so. Oh, man. So, oh man, it's already started. Slideshow got to me. Okay, guys, here we go. So, I'm Matt Beulah. I was John's supervisor most recently, but I've known Johnny for the last 10 years. I first came to our department 10 years ago as a GSR, as a young guy, and I learned a lot from him. He was always one of the senior guys. He was a veteran, and I remember our first job together specifically, because we were in Oildale. It was like 8 o'clock. He was staying over. It's the first time I worked with him. I remember I was always really intimidated by him because he had that long, scary beard and the tattoos, the flame tattoos, and you know, he's the night guy, so he was always really gruff, and I didn't know what to expect, but so I went to Oildale with him. It was some fourplex where they shut off one for a fire, and it was brutal. There was a lot of work there, but I remember, you know, he like took me to the manifold. I was really new, like I didn't know what I was doing at all, and he showed me like exactly what to do, like line by line, like he just like clicked on. He was teaching me everything, and I was like, wow, this guy is like, the thing, man, I already losing it. The thing I got out of was how like empathetic and caring and understanding he was towards me. Like as a new guy, he was giving me a chance. And I really appreciated that. And specifically, too, I remember on this one, I have this vivid memory because we had to go relight these, and it was the first time I was in this like studio apartment in Oildale with a disgusting wall heater and a mattress, and I had to like scoot in narrow to the mattress. There was a lady on the mattress. It was like 95 degrees. There was like cockroaches in there, and I had no idea how to relight a wall heater. And I remember he's like, "Well, you got to go light it," and he's just standing at the door laughing his ass off at me. And there was a lot of stuff like that, but that was a great learning experience. He taught me a lot there. And yeah, he was always very patient and understanding. And I remember later on, as I was growing as a GSR, there was a lot of other jobs I had where I might have left some mistakes in the field that he found later. I don't know how it happened. I remember 3 specific times. I forgot to tighten a collar once. You know, everybody does that. I forgot to put a disc in a meter, and there was a 0% safety on the wall heater, filled the house with gas or something. I don't know. There was another time where he claims I forgot to tighten a nipple like into the valve. I don't remember any of those, but I remember he did talk to me about every one of those, and it was never like, hey man, like you need to like get your ass together. It was always like very understanding, like what's going on, like you gotta, you know, make sure you got a process. And he was just, the way he always handled those, he was never judgmental, never jumping on me like I know a lot of guys probably would. His patience, his temperament, like I always really admired that. And yeah, and you know, that was Johnny. That was the Johnny that I saw. He saw all of it. He saw the mistakes. He saw the inexperience, and he was always still willing to help me get better. And that continued on because eventually I became the supervisor, you know, with still very limited experience, but especially, you know, I became the supervisor after that track record of leaving all that stuff in the field. So John knew everything. But for some reason, he would still keep helping me. You know, if he saw that I was struggling with something, I didn't know what to do, he'd come and talk to me, pull me aside, hey, what's up? And I really needed that at the time. I really appreciated how much he was always willing to help. And there's something about John that I just like always felt 100% comfortable with him. Like I could always could always open up to him about anything. I mean, he's like not even talking to me. I'm like talking at him. He's just like grunting at me in the morning. You know, he's all tired and sleepy and whatever. But for some reason, I always overshared with him. And I don't know why. I don't know what. Man, Matt, you got this. But I love that about him. And so I was always oversharing with him. And, you know, eventually, you know, he's always got that rough outer shell where he's just kind of grunting at you at first. But once you start pulling, asking him about his family, asking him about his kids, he would light up, man. He would, he was like beaming with pride when he would talk about his sons. We'd always talk about what they're doing in school, what they want to do, where they're working. And you could tell just like how much he was amazed by them, in awe of them, and how much he wanted to do everything he could to provide for them, give them the best life he could. I could see that every day he showed up. He worked the crappiest shift. He worked the longest hours. He always stayed over if there was any ever opportunity. And that was something I always admired about him. I could always tell, like, what he was focused on. He always knew what he was doing there. And yeah, the way he would talk about you boys. He loved you. Like, he couldn't. It was the only time I'd ever see him like gush. Like, that guy couldn't stop talking when we brought that up, which was out of character from him when he's just sitting in the back, you know, being quiet and just grunting and leaving. But yeah, I admired that about him a lot. I remember this, there was this other time where I remember I was a new supervisor. I went to the supervisor training where we talked about like gratitude or something. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna take that back to my yard, talk about gratitude a lot. I didn't really end up doing that, but I did end up calling out John one day. I was like, hey, John, what's one thing you're grateful for? Like in front of the whole group on our daily meeting. And he kind of, you know, hemmed and hawed, didn't want to say anything. And I was like, no, really, what do you think? And he's like, I'm grateful for this group. This is a great group of guys we have. This is a great place to work. And he always knew that, like, and I always thought he really took ownership of that group. So a couple years ago when he became the shop steward, that was him giving back. Now he can, you know, take care of his guys, protect his guys, because he was a leader in the work group. And something that I always appreciated, like, when he took that shop steward role, his goal was like maintain the morale. He knew how good this group was, and he wanted to be that guy who eased any tensions between management and contract stuff. And even while he's still in that role, he's helping me. He's coming to me when there's issues that are starting to bubble up. He's like, hey, what are you going to do about this? What are you going to do about that? And he'd call me on all that stuff, and he'd get there, he'd help me like preempt that stuff, and man, I loved working with him that. There's only a few times he ever came in like huffing and puffing, like, what the hell's going on? And every single time we had a conversation like that, every single time we had one of those confrontations, we always, you know, ended up shaking hands and like we came to a compromise no matter what. We were seeing each other's perspectives, and I always appreciated that. He never just dug his heels in to fight. He started off hot, but then we always found a common ground, and that was something that I really valued in, you know, in a shop steward, in an employee, in a friend. And I felt like he was really able to, become kind of a leader in the yard as a shop steward there. And so, you know, I think, you know, he didn't make a big show of any of this. He was always a humble guy, not a lot of words to say. I admired how he just showed up every day. He showed up for the work, he showed up for the guys, he showed up for his family, he showed up for me. He made this department better, he made me better. And I'll always be grateful for him for all that help. So, thank you guys for the opportunity to speak today. I'm gonna miss him.
All right. Good morning, and thank you all for being here to celebrate John Roberts' life. My name is Timothy Webb, and I had the privilege of being John's supervisor for the last 6 months. Before that, I was his coworker and friend for more than 6 years. During those years working alongside John, I learned so much about him and from him. John served the people in the community of Bakersfield for more than 25 years as a gas serviceman. He was well known, respected, and appreciated by those who worked beside him, as well as the many customers and community members he served throughout his career. While working full-time, John also took the role of union shop steward. Let me tell you, he was the perfect person for that responsibility. John had a deep love for both the company and his union brothers and sisters. No matter how big or small the issue, he took it to the heart and worked hard to find solutions that benefited everyone involved. Even while working the overnight shift, John would answer his phone at all hours. Many times I was calling with a problem that needed the experience and wisdom John carried with him. He never made anyone feel less than for not knowing the answer or what the next step should be. He simply stepped in, offered his guidance, and helped you get through it. That's one of the things I loved about John. He was always there to help you. Earlier this year, John and I worked together on a hectic and challenging job at a donut shop. Even though the work was complex and stressful, John never stopped cracking jokes. By the end of it, we were even rewarded with a free donut, which happened to be one of John's favorite treats. He might have had 2 or 3, to be honest. John had a special gift for making heavy situations feel a little lighter with his signature sense of humor. After I became a supervisor, he loved giving me a hard time by telling me I showed up too early and woke him up. He would always stomp his feet and say, "Why are you here at 6 a.m.? Start time's 8." You know. Between that and him calling me the junior supervisor, he never missed an opportunity to generate a much-needed laugh. John approached teamwork with an open heart and genuine respect for everyone around him. Over the last few weeks, I've spent time with John's family, getting to know his wife Maya and his 2 sons, Noah and Jake. Listening to their stories and learning more about his life outside of work made it clear just how devoted he was as a husband and a father. When John wasn't at work, he cherished time with his family. He loved singing karaoke at home and was an enthusiastic fan of the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Raiders. The more I learned about him through his family, the more I realized that the kindness, loyalty, humor we all knew at work were the same qualities that made him so special at home. John leaves behind a legacy of service, friendship, laughter, and compassion. He made a lasting impact on the people he worked with, the community he served, and the family he loved so deeply. I will continue to pray for peace and comfort for the Roberts family, and I ask that you do the same. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Steve Carlson. I just want to just take a moment and address everyone here today and everyone affected by our loss with a reminder from Psalms 34:18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Whether you knew John Roberts as Johnny, J-Rob, Grandpa Graveyard, Johnny Boy, or simply Roberts, we all knew what a special person he was. At work, he was a dedicated GSR for gas service rep for PG&E for the last 25 years. Roberts worked the graveyard shift alone, handling the quiet hours with the same steady competence he brought to everything he did. Everyone knew that when Roberts was on shift, the night was covered. And all the time I knew him, I believe he only slept through 1 phone call. It's really not bad if you ask me. He was pretty dedicated. He was also our shop steward and a leader who earned respect through both his knowledge and his character. He was always willing to listen, offer guidance, and help people work through whatever challenges they were facing. He genuinely cared about the people around him. But Roberts wasn't all about being serious. He loved to joke around with us in the morning, and I think he genuinely enjoyed seeing all of us. He had a personal relationship with everyone, and we each had our own version of Johnny. For me personally, there was nothing better than pulling into the yard, starting my day, and seeing him there, quick to greet me with a middle finger and a smile. Yeah. Of course, he got the same response back. But then it's been a good time just standing out there talking before anyone else showed up. And it became part of my routine, and it's a part of my day that I'll greatly miss. I also want to share something that a lot of you people don't know. So Johnny was the one person who reached out to me after my knee surgery to check to see how I was doing. I think he could tell I was getting stir crazy and down, stuck at home with my leg in a brace, unable to walk. So being the kind of person he was, Johnny waited until I was healed enough, then picked me up, crutches and all, took me to Lengthwise to enjoy a few beers. I'll always be grateful for that. I'm also grateful that just a few months ago, my wife and I met with Roberts and his wife, Maya, for dinner. We spent the evening talking, laughing, and enjoyed each other's company. At the end of the night, Roberts and I agreed we should do this again. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time. That was Roberts, knowledgeable, reliable, caring, and always ready to have a little fun. In the middle of a difficult situation, he was the kind of person that showed up for people, often in ways they'll never forget. We'll miss his quiet presence, his experience, his friendship, and his humor. Rest easy, John.
My name is Kip Olson, GSR. Worked with Johnny for about 9.5 years, 10 years. First off, I'd like to offer my condolences to Maya, Noah, and Jake. When I met Johnny about 9 years ago, I immediately knew he was a decent guy. As you can tell by my hat I'm wearing, he introduced himself and proceeded to immediately talk trash about the Giants. And I had just moved here, he let me know that I lived in Dodger country. At that time, I didn't even know if he liked baseball, watched baseball, cared about baseball, but he made it known that the Dodgers were definitely better than the Giants. Had to give it to him, they were at that time. The relationship that we had from then on was based heavily on trash talking about anything and everything that we could think of. That's how Johnny operated. He was that, as others said, that quiet person in the room, but he really thrived on trash talking and just get you going, and it was all harmless fun. I got the pleasure of working with Johnny in Boston for 3 weeks back in 2018, and that's when I got to realize that Johnny was a real compassionate individual, and he wanted everybody around him to succeed. Beulah talked about being new and him helping you. He was always that way. He may be grumpy while he's doing it, but he definitely did it. He wasn't a gatekeeper of information. He made sure that I knew the rights and the wrongs of the job in life, and while also teaching me how to do the best I can and make money and provide for my family like he strived to do himself. I learned in Boston that he was very grumpy in the morning, and he did not like to start his workday without stopping at Dunkin' Donuts, polishing off a whole box of donut holes and slamming a coffee, and then after that, you could have a conversation with him. Up until then, he would just grunt and make noises. Him and I were given a Columbia gas van to drive around in Boston and work out of, and it didn't take us long to realize that they had active GPS tracking, and it would actually yell at you for hard cornering, acceleration, hard braking, all that stuff. And we kind of made it a goal to see how many we could get at that point. There was one night we were returning the van to the yard. It was super late, super dark, it was raining. I was driving from a stop sign, had to make a left turn. And he tells me, hey, it's clear on the right, you can go ahead and go. And as I'm taking off, he yells, oh crap, there's a car, punch it. And he made me floor it, and I think everything in the back of the van just flew out, was in the middle. It's yelling at me for every sort of infraction, and he's just laughing. There was no car. He wanted me to get more beeps than him. That trip was something that we talked about frequently. and wondered if we ever made a list somewhere for the number of beeps that we did rack up. Nothing changed over the course of the next 7 to 8 years. He taught me tricks of playing innocent pranks on people, from greasing every handle on the work truck, adjusting every mirror inside and out, putting chalk blocks around every tire, seeing if they'd check for him, which I think he ended up regretting because he was the only person I ever did it to. Most GSRs will know that I had a habit of, we flipped each other off in the morning and I would kick his license plate. And then one day he got really upset with me because they red tagged his truck for 3 weeks because he had a call in the middle of the night in an alley and his license plate fell off and they couldn't find it, so they had to wait 3 weeks for a new license plate. And about 6 months later, I started kicking it again. You had to get a rise out of Johnny. He did get me back one time. I was on vacation, had my truck parked in the yard, and he went and got the key. When I came back, I think about half the stuff in my truck was all in different spots, from inside the cab to inside the Benz. He did get me back. While I never had the pleasure of meeting his family right here until today, Johnny was always talking about you guys, whether it was vacationing somewhere, taking a weekend trip, or what you boys were doing in life. He was very proud of you guys. I could tell he was a very devoted husband and father. I will always remember Johnny as one of the most compassionate and trash-talking people I ever had the pleasure to meet. Rest in peace, Johnny, until we meet again.
To introduce myself, I am Noah, his son, and thank you all here for being here today. I wanted to take some time to share some stories I remember about my dad. I remember the first time he took us fishing at Riverwalk Park, and I was real little then, and I really couldn't care for casting the line at all. You can ask my friends too. When they take me fishing, thing I don't want to do. I'd rather be reading a book or something. But I remember at the time I was so fascinated with the little minnows that were swimming at the edge of the water. And instead of getting annoyed with me or trying to get me back into the fishing, he just kind of started talking to me about the minnows and talking to me about them, teach me not to be too rough with them, be gentle. Another good memory I have was a Christmas present he gave me a couple years back. As many of you have shared today, you know that he always wanted to provide. And it was really the little things that he did were the most impactful. He gave me a little music box with a song from one of my favorite video games I played as a kid. And it was meant to be just a little stocking stuffer, but to me it was the most important gift that I had ever received from him. Because it showed that he kept those little details in his brain, and it showed his love. The last one is more broad. It's all those times, every event, he would always be there. Every celebration, he was always there. As a beaming face of pride in the sea of strangers. And even though he tended to grunt a little bit, you could always tell he was super proud. I also stand before you as a new teacher, which he was very proud of. And it makes me think about the lessons that we impart upon others and we learn for ourselves. Some of the most important lessons he taught me was the importance of taking care of the ones you love, remaining calm and fair whenever you're negotiating a disagreement between people. I'm sure your fellow union members, you know that about him. There's strength in knowing that someone has your back and to be there for others. To help amplify others' voices and to use your voice when others need help, and to also cherish the small moments in life, to really cherish those. So thank you all for being here today to help celebrate him. I really appreciate you all and the stories I've heard today. Thank you.
I appreciate all those stories. I was just trying to listen and kind of keep track of the character traits that were listed. I never got to meet John. Compassionate, funny, jokester, kind, patient, teacher, generous, good memory about special things. And there was a long list of stuff. He sounds like an absolutely amazing guy. It's my responsibility to sort of close out this portion of the morning. And so I'm going to do that in two ways. I'm going to read the obituary, which all of you have a copy of in your handout there. And then I'll take maybe 5 to 7 minutes to close with some thoughts. So if you want to read along with me, you can. Born in Riverside, California, on March 2nd, 1976, Jonathan Philip Roberts had moved at a young age to Bakersfield, California. Here, he cultivated deep bonds of friendship through his childhood and eventually met the love of his life, Maya. In their sophomore English class, together, they went on to have 2 children together, Noah and Jake Roberts, and strive together to form a family whose foundation was built on love and compassion. Throughout his 50 years of life, John lived for the goal of bettering the lives of others around him, advocating for fairness between any disagreement, and cherishing every moment he could with his family. In his personal time, John could be found most at peace in nature, whether that be on hikes with his wife Maya, spending time fishing, or enjoying trips to the beach for a weekend. Less known to others was his love for karaoke, and even of the occasional Renaissance fair, where he enjoyed seeing the joy of others being deeply immersed in their hobbies and interests. Did I notice some steampunk stuff? Yes. Sorry. The world will be a lesser place without John, and his family will forever know him as a man with endless love, laughter, and resilience. I'm going to set a timer because I believe that it's good to end when you say you're going to end. You won't have to listen to me for more than 10 minutes. I was trying to think of a couple of stories that I could share, and things from Scripture, and I don't want to make this a sermon, and I'm not gonna. So I was just thinking about what Christianity teaches about hope. I'm listening to John's stories about him and how he takes a young man and begins to give him instruction and build the hope that he can have a career in this place. Because he's not made to be made feel stupid, he's made to feel teachable. As I was listening to all you guys talk about him, it seemed like he viewed you guys as people that could learn, people that could be taught, people that could be invested in. And he knew the best way to do that was to have some fun, to be a little rough like most of us do, but to also be patient and kind and certainly not judgmental. There's 2 stories in Scripture, and I'll just reflect on them quickly, and then I'll close in prayer, and we'll move to the next part of the morning. If you've not been in church, or if you've had, maybe you've heard of the woman that was caught in the act of adultery, and the religious people, as they were, drug her down the street and threw her at the feet of Jesus and they picked up rocks because they felt like that was the appropriate response. Jesus gets between her and them so that if there's any rocks coming, he's going to catch them first. And he begins to slowly dissect them and get them to realize that they're just a bunch of judgmental bigots who don't represent God well. And through the course of his interaction with them, they eventually all leave. He turns to the lady behind him and he says to her, "So where are your accusers?" And she looks around, "I don't know, they're gone." And he says, "Well, I don't accuse you either. Just go and, hey, man, probably shouldn't be doing that anymore. It's not really good for you." He said, "I don't accuse you, I don't judge you, I don't condemn you." She didn't repent. She didn't say she was sorry. She hadn't changed her mind yet. But Jesus was all about taking care of those who couldn't take care of themselves, who were being bullied and pushed around and judged and mistreated. He didn't need us to accept him for him to show love to us. But he hoped by showing love to us that we would take the risk of drawing close to him. There's one more story. It's the thief on the cross. And when Jesus is hanging on the cross, there are thieves on either side of him, one on either side. Both of them start out mocking him, calling him names, giving him a hard time, calling him out, saying, "Hey, if you're so good, do this. If you're so great, do that." And then one of the guys, he recognizes something, and he looks at Jesus. And in the course of the discussion, he says, "Hey, would you just remember me when you go to your kingdom?" And Jesus says, "Man, you'll be in paradise with me today." Now this guy, never gone to church. He's a convicted criminal. He didn't go to Sunday school. He'd never done anything. His life was not religious or Christian or anything at all. He had made no professions of faith. I mean, I kind of imagine the angel. I don't know how it works in heaven, but maybe we'll get lucky and there will be a podium and a guy that we can mess with before we go and do our thing. But there's the angel stands there and this guy pops up and the guy's like, "What are you doing here?" And the guy's like, I don't know what I'm doing here." Well, you should know. I don't know why I'm here. So he asks a few questions. He doesn't get the right answers. He goes and gets his supervisor angel. The supervisor angel shows up and says, "Well, let me just ask some more maybe detailed questions. Are you familiar with the doctrine of salvation and all that stuff?" "No, I've never heard of that. That's crazy. I don't know what you're talking about." "Well, what about the inspiration of Scripture?" "No, I don't know what you're talking about." And the angel finally says, "Well, why are you here?" And he says, "Because the man on the middle cross said I could come." And so I just want to leave you with this. My God, the God that I read in Scripture, is bigger than anything and faster than anything and can take a nanosecond and turn it into an eternity. And I believe John had moments, plenty of time for God to speak to his heart. Say, "Hey, remember me?" And my hope, my God, the God that I read about in Scripture, pursues us to the very last second. And his grace and his mercy are bigger and greater than any of ours could ever imagine. And Christianity offers the hope that God pursues us to the very last millisecond and offers us hope and a chance. I mean, that's what happens to the guy on the cross. He hadn't made any professions. He hadn't done anything. He hadn't proved himself to be anything special. John, on the other hand, is clearly a guy that is kind and loving and generous to a fault almost. You can see the character of God in him. John grew up a little bit around God and stuff, church. Clearly it got into him because of the way he treated you guys. My hope, the thing that I hold on to, is that my God is bigger than I could ever imagine, and he can do better things than I could ever dream, and that there's no place too far, no person too far gone that he can't grab a hold of, even in the last few seconds. So I just offer that to you guys this morning. That as you start to tell stories about John while we're eating over there, that you would tell the stories that bring to life his character. They tell the stories that would bring to life his sense of humor. Tell the stories that you would bring to life the way that he treated other people. That you would tell stories about what you learned from him and how he taught you and how he helped you learn and how he brought you in and how he helped you feel a part of the crew and how he made you feel connected. Because that's the stuff that we need to not just remember, but in truly to honor John, we would embody that and become those people too, so that we can pass those things on to the next guys and gals that come into the cruise. We need to let John be someone who inspires us to continue to live like that. So be pranksters. Figure out new pranks that you can do in John's honor. Maybe come up with one that you can name John's prank and do it to every new guy that comes in. Come up with ways that you can teach people. Maybe you just have to talk to yourself under your breath occasionally because you're getting so frustrated with the new guy and he doesn't know what to do and you're about to ready to just kick him and walk away and just go, okay, John wouldn't do that. John might think that, but he wouldn't do it. He would take his time and help this guy figure out what's going on. So I encourage you guys, live out what John showed you. And in many of you, it sounds like invested in you. And we really appreciate you coming. I really appreciate you coming for the family, hanging out. There's a couple of things that we need to do. I have 1 minute and 37 seconds left, so I'm just going to stop that because we don't need it. I'm going to dismiss the family in a second. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 volunteers to carry this tripod and picture, this spray of flowers, which is a little sketchy, but I'm sure you guys can handle it. This one, this one, and this one, and this one. After we dismiss the family and they go over, if I could have some guys come up and grab those and take them with me over there so we can set them up over there so they're over there when we're eating and stuff. The food is supposed to be here in about 5 or 6 minutes. That's what we think. That's what we're hoping for. That's what Jimmy John said. And so we'll head that way and let the family get over there. And then once they get out the back door, have some guys come down here, and then I'll lead you guys over there, and we'll take care of that. But I'm going to pray and close out the morning, and then we'll take our stuff over there. Father, I didn't grow up knowing you. I didn't grow up walking around you. I didn't grow up hanging out with people that knew you. I was, you know, all that stuff about me. I was just an arrogant person who thought I knew everything and didn't need your help, and told you that quite often. I appreciate the fact that you pursued me, in fact, in spite of my arrogance. I appreciate that you chased after me and that you found a way to catch my attention. This morning, as we try to remember John, as we try to share the stories and the feelings and the experiences that he poured into us, as we try to remember the benefit that he was to our families, to our friendships, to our company, as we try to paint that picture, would you help us to have the courage to share the things that would reflect who he is to those around us at the tables we're sitting at? Would you help us to take the time to really, really honor John this morning? And would you help us to somehow figure out what you sound like so that if you're talking to us, we could hear it? Thank you for the food that's coming. Thank you for all the folks that were able to take time off and get here. Thank you for all the folks that came. Father, you sent everybody that needed to be here. And so as we gather, I pray it's a good morning for us to care for one another and encourage one another. In your name I pray. Amen. If I could have the family and friends, if you guys would just go out that back door, and then you guys know where it's at over to the right. We'll let them get out first, and then the first 6 guys or gals, whoever want to come up and help with this, is fine with me. It doesn't have to be anybody in specific. And then I'll lead you guys over that way too. There's plenty of food for all of you guys that are here, so feel free to go over there.